Hey YouTube, I just want to quickly showcase a build. It's coming from a content creator called Pravy, and I've been using his BAMA lightning build because I wanted to test out how good BAMA is after the nerfs, and has been really amazing still. Even after the nerfs, it's completely playable. However, this build is very expensive. It's not recommended as a league starter, but it also caps extremely high. And just to showcase you the numbers, this is basically POB. And the damage numbers are not correct. It's probably roughly around, I would say, 30 to 50 million DPS or more. And if you look at the max hit, that is crazy. It's like 455k if I spend like 1 second stationary. So if I just stand still for like half a second or 1 second, I'm basically immune to elemental damage. And this is without guard skills. So this build does not have any guard skills, because it's just not necessary. And the Fizz max hit is also really high, and that's also without the Guardian Turtle buff. And I'll explain now how you can get this max hit and this whole setup of this build. So the basic idea is to convert everything into fire damage and go CI, so you don't have to worry about chaos risks, you don't have to worry about lightning rest and cold rest. And the way to do it is to use Tempered by War, so we convert 50% of cold and lightning to fire. Then you have a Bound by Destiny, where you convert 10% of elemental damage to chaos if we have 4 hunter items equipped. We have a Watcher's Eye with Purity of Fire, 15% cold and lightning, taking as fire. And then at the end, Incandescent Heart, which converts the last 25 elemental damage to chaos. So basically we're converting 35% of elemental damage to chaos, and the rest 65% is converted to fire. So that's really amazing. So it basically means you're taking 35% less elemental damage with this conversion. And as you can see, I'm level 98 in hardcore, and I had no problems surviving at all. Elemental max hit is basically you're immortal against elemental damage. Fizz, you're also very high if you have determination with your turtle. And to top it all off, because we're converting everything to fire, we have running an Arctic armor where we take 20% less fire damage and 21% less fizz damage. So the only damage we're taking really is fire and fizz. And if you use a Ul graft and a Zoff graft, which I also got from the content creator Pravy, you can go otherworldly appendages where you take 15% less fire and 50% less fizz. So this means you take 15% less overall damage. So with this and the elemental conversion, you take 50% less elemental damage basically. We also have spell suppress on gear and on a tree. It's mostly two spell suppress wheels and two small tattoos. So the builds are roughly around, I would say, upwards of 300 divines, so you do need a lot of money. I would say the jewels are the most annoying things to craft, and also the ring is very, very hard to craft. You don't need a mage bot for this build, fortunately, so you can just almost all rare gear except for the chest and the belt. Other than that, we have 10 fortification if you're around the animate guardian. I would take this with a grain of salt because it's not always active. And other than that, we have some fizz reduction from the ascendancy itself, 10%. We have 3 minimum endurance charges, and yeah, I guess these are the defensive layers. Now, downside of this build is that you have to press quite a few buttons. So you have to press the Desecrate, you have to press your Offering, you have to press your Mirror Arrow, you have to press Assassin's Mark, Conductivity, so it's a lot of buttons to press. And usually build is called Blink Arrow, Mirror Arrow, but in my case, I excluded the blink arrow of prismatic clones because I feel like it's just too many button presses. You would have to press way too many buttons at the same time. So I feel like the DPS was good enough. If you want to double your DPS, you can include blink arrow of prismatic clones and 2 combat focus jewels. I'm just too lazy. I just wanted to be a 1-button build and just press this 1 button for clear and for single target, and it works completely fine to clear the entire game. Another downside of the build is the obvious chest. So it says elemental damage from hits taken as chaos damage, so it means only hits are converted to chaos damage. So if you take cold or lightning dots, you would take a very big dot. However, it's not that bad because you convert most of the dots to fire damage still. So you will rarely notice that the cold dot touches your HP. Also because the region is built is also quite high. We have like 1.3k region and instant leech. And because the clones shoot rain of arrows, every arrow is basically a leech instance, if I'm not wrong, and you get your HP back almost instantly. So recovery is also quite good on this build. I mean, if you guys have questions about how to craft the gear, you can always come into the chat, Aloha Twitch, Aloha TFT, and ask me how to craft these items. I crafted most of them all by myself, almost all items. Most of them are recombined. As you can see from the tier 1 stats, most of them are just recombined. And yeah, that's about it. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. And that's going to be the last video for me this season in Keepers. I had a blast playing this league. And if you have questions or if you need anything in Path of Exile, if you need any help or tips, you can always come by at twitch.tv/alohatft. I can pimp your build, and yeah, hope to see you in the next season.